Hi, today we're going to talk about project and team management, how to do it effectively. I'll break down my strategy. I've learned this from Alex Ramosi and lots of books that I've read, and I'm going to break down every single step of effective communication and briefing the team the right way. So first of all, let's start with the process. The process should involve a few key steps. First of all, we need to brief the team on the project introduction. We need to make them understand what the project is all about so they know why is it important for the company they're working at. I'm going to show you an example where I briefed a team of 10 plus people on the side project that we're working on, considering that all of the team members have active projects going on in the company. So we needed to understand how much time they can allocate to working on this. We needed to make the process as efficient and as easy as possible for them. So that's why I created task list. I linked them to all of the tasks that are related to them and etc. And I'll explain that in a moment. Then they need to understand what exactly needs to be done for their side. So we need to set clear expectations on when will the project be completed satisfactorily. Then we need to understand who needs to do what part of the project, by when. It's very, very important to set clear deadlines on when do we expect each phase to be done. And we're going to segment it into multiple phases to make it easier for employees. We're going to talk about how to handle blockers. In this case, I'm going to manage the whole project and I'm someone who they can reach in case of any blockers, in case they need any help, in case they can't complete their tasks on time. And then we'll talk about follow-ups. So first of all, let me quickly introduce you to the project that we've been working on. So we're trying to launch a new masterclass for our business. So this is going to be a masterclass funnel, and we have a few things that we need to replicate in order to launch this successfully. First of all, I wanted to segment all of the tasks into groups. So I first needed to brainstorm what are all of the tasks and what are all of the steps in order for us to launch that masterclass funnel. So first of all, we had some very specific stuff that needed to be done. First of all, I needed to translate some course videos because we were working on some French course and most of our employees are from US and they're not speaking French. So I had to translate the courses using AI tools. Second step was to watch those courses. So I dedicated who needs to watch what lessons from that course in order for us to replicate the funnel that was presented in the course. And I assigned it in ClickUp. By the way, we're using ClickUp for all of our project management and organization. You can do the same thing in Trello, Monday.com, Notion, whatever software you're using. The principles need to stay the same, and it has a lot to do with copywriting principles as well. We need to understand that a lot of our employees don't have lots of time, and we don't want to waste their time on finding things, on asking questions. We want to think about all of the questions that they might ask and have about this project, and we wanted to make it as simple as possible for them to follow the instructions and to go step by step to each phase and everything that needs to be done. Then we had to replicate a funnel that we liked. So we analyzed Iman Gaji's funnel on AI automations, and he has a masterclass funnel. So we wanted to replicate that. We did some analysis of that and we broke down the steps there. Then we had Shopify because we're going to have the landing pages, thank you pages, upsell pages. All of the pages are going to be hosted on Shopify. So in order for us to complete that, we need to have a designer, we need to have a copywriter in place, we need to have a Webflow developer who will implement the page and set up all of the automations, welcome emails, backend, everything needs to be set up before the launch. Then we had the masterclass presentation that's going to be used by presenters on the day of the masterclass. So we need to prepare the content and copywriting for the masterclass slides, and then we need to design the slide presentation. Then we have emails, SMS, and WhatsApp. So this is just for follow-ups for making sure to increase the engagement to the maximum. Then we have ads that are going to serve us for acquiring people to watch our masterclass. Then in the ad section, we need to prepare the ads and briefs for editors and graphic designers. The graphic designer and editor should get back to us with final videos. Then we should go to revision, set up to tracking, and launch the ads 1 week before the masterclass in order to get the right amount of leads and to save on the budget. Then we have social media. We needed to brief graphic designer and video editor on what kind of graphics and videos do we want to produce on social media. Then we need to go into production of those and to schedule the post, which is going to be done by our social media manager. Then we have the host preparation, because we want all of our hosts, first of all, to get familiar with the presentation, because we're going to have multiple hosts. We're going to have 5 different hosts, and they first need to understand what's the content on the masterclass itself. The second thing, they need to be familiar with the technical aspect on how to log into Webinar Jam. We're using Webinar Jam to host our masterclass, how to set up their camera, the lighting, the microphones. We need to make sure that everything is running smoothly, because those are the small mistakes that can cost us a lot if we go live and we need to figure out things during the live masterclass while people are waiting and while people are expecting everything to go smoothly. And finally, we have post masterclass tasks, which are related to everything that we need to do after the masterclass is done to make sure that we're not getting any new traffic there, because the ads should stop. The VIP ticket that's going to be an upsell is going to not be available. We're going to turn off all of the landing pages, etc. So once we define all of these, we need to really think about every single step in production in order to complete this to satisfaction. That comes with preparation phase, that comes with the production phase, testing out phase. We need to go through the customer's journey multiple times in order to understand whether everything is running smoothly for our customers and leads. And finally, we need to think about the post masterclass steps. So this is how I'm brainstorming when you give me a task. When we need to finish a project, we need to break down into simple and short tasks so we can go one by one and we can mark them as completed very easily. As I said, we want our employees to understand everything and to have as smooth as possible journey to finishing all of the tasks. Everything should be clear. So let's go over some of the other steps. So once we define all of the tasks in ClickUp, then the best way for you to introduce your whole team to the project is to record a Loom video, a video just like the one I'm recording right now. So let's play a few seconds of this video so you can better understand how exactly am I briefing these videos. I'll play it at 1.5 speed, and I probably won't play you the whole video, but let's play just for a few seconds. You will understand the copywriting principles that I've used here. For example, we have a good hook, which is going to be a brief introduction to the project. Then we're going to go into more specific stuff, what each team member needs to do. And I'm going to explain what are the steps for the first phase of the production. So let's go play it to 1.5 and then see what I'm saying here. We're going to see based on the performance. Hey team, I hope you're doing great. Just a quick introduction into the Masterclass project. You already saw the message here. I briefed all the team members on the phase. By the way, we're using Slack and ClickUp in this setting. We can also organize all of that on a Google Doc, on any other platform, honestly. But why I wanted to keep it on Slack, because we're using Slack for communication and people are available on Slack every single day, and it's easier for them to check all of the tasks if they need to go there. I'm not trying to get them away from Slack. We're trying to keep people on the same platform. Just like when you're doing ads, you're not trying to move them on 5 different websites. You want to have one landing page and all of the information that's important needs to be there. But I want to give you more information on what are we trying to do here. So we had great results during the Black Friday's masterclass, and we want to replicate it in our future masterclasses and to call them masterclasses. So this isn't going to be held every single week, maybe once a month, once every 2 months. We're going to see based on the performance on the first one. But what we essentially want to do is We saw this guy, Iman Gadji. He is a marketer. So this is an introduction and telling them why this whole project is important. Why are we actually doing this? It's always good to give more context to your employees because sometimes they don't know what's the purpose behind all of that, and giving them extra context on the masterclass that we had during the Black Friday and why we're trying to replicate something similar right now will give them extra context. And especially if you've done something similar in the past that they can relate to, it will be much easier for them to digest the new project that you're going to work on, to understand, okay, I remember that we worked on the landing page like this, so I should probably do it the same this time. And why we're using Gloom and this kind of video especially, it's because it's much easier to digest videos like this rather than reading a long text. Just imagine if you had to scroll through a 3-page PDF reading about all of the information, it wouldn't be as effective and as easy for them to watch it. He has his own high-ticket course on Believe. Then here I'm explaining more about his funnel analysis of what they did and how can we replicate it for our own funnel. And here I'm breaking down all of the tasks in ClickUp and what are we going to do during the first phase of production. A few more things that are very, very important before you even start briefing any of the projects, and what's important to mention during briefing of any of your future projects is that you need to make sure actually that everyone in the team first of all understands what is their role and what the whole project is about. I already talked about that. They need to know how to complete their own tasks, and if they don't know how to do it, they need to be either proactive enough to figure it out themselves, or you need to be the one who is going to teach them about the process on how are you planning to do that. Even if you're a CEO, if you're a project manager, your task isn't just to brief them. Your task isn't just to tell them, okay, we need to do this, and this. Your task in the company is to make the process as smooth and as easy as possible for them. And you need to think you, in a sense, are in a higher position than them, meaning that you're managing multiple people under you, and you need to be the one who will think about all of the processes, all of the things that might go wrong, and you need to figure out a way to fix all of that beforehand. Even before you go into production, you need to think, okay, last time when we did similar type of project, we had this kind of issue. For example, we had an issue with the backend not sending automated emails for all of the purchases. So now I know that was a problem last time, and I'm going to mention it and to make it as easy as possible not to mess it up this time for our employees. So I'm going to mention how to fix those problems up front. Even if we don't end up having that problem, they will have the solution if needed. And finally, we need to make sure that the employee has the bandwidth to deliver within deadlines, especially when you're working in teams that have lots of projects going on for themselves. It's very important to understand what is their current bandwidth. Do they have the time to work on the project that you're going to assign to them? How much time can they assign during each week? And I'm going to explain that in a second, and that's exactly why I added this extra info on how much time do they need to do certain tasks. And that will make it easier for them to say, okay, I need 25 minutes for this. I'm going to dedicate 25 minutes right now, and then I'm going to maybe delay some of the future tasks for tomorrow or before the final deadline. A few more things that I want to mention here. This is how I briefed them on Slack. So we had the Loom video. That's the first thing that they're going to watch here. It's kind of like a big headline. First, watch this Loom video with all of the information. Then I mentioned some of the important details once again in the top of my message, because this message is going to be pinned and people will be able to get back to this message anytime they need to rethink the project, they need to make sure they're doing the right thing, etc. So we have the date of the masterclass, when are we planning to launch it. So it's very, very important to have the exact date listed here. We have the ClickUp task list if they need to go through their tasks here. we have the Figma page with the funnel breakdown, which is an extra context for them that they need to watch. And here we have the actionable steps for the phase 1 of production. So we have everything dedicated to each team member. For example, Yasin, who's our email marketer, first needs to watch these course videos and then needs to take a look at the funnel and to understand and to map where are we going to use SMS, emails, and WhatsApp messages to follow up with our leads. Tibbs, who's our ad manager and ad creative strategist, is going to do this and this. Helen, who's our sales manager, is going to do this. Our speakers are going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's very important to know exactly who has what on their plates and what needs to be done by the next deadline. So everything should be split into weekly sprints. I like to keep it on a weekly basis for projects like this because it's easy for us to track. We have enough time to dedicate it like that, and then we'll move on to next phase next week. And one of the last things that I want to mention is that you need to check up on the team, and obviously to understand their bandwidth. I mentioned that you need to understand that even before you head into production, but you need to check up on the team weekly. How are you going to do that? You're just going to send them a Slack message every single week. So if I said that the deadline is on 20th to finish all of that, and I already mentioned that I'm going to check up on that date, so they know that they should prepare everything on time. I also mentioned that if they have any additional questions after they watch the Loom, they can reach me. If they have any additional blockers during the project, they can also reach me, and we're going to figure out how to solve any problem that comes up. So that's how my perspective looks on project and team management. That's how I've been managing projects for my clients, for my company, and it's really effective. Once you have a good team in place, once you have the people who are proactive, who are doing what you both agreed on doing, once they know what are their tasks, once they know how to complete them, what are the deadlines, it's very easy for you to stay on track, to deliver on time, and to make sure that all of the team members are not overwhelmed with the work, because lots of project and team managers are going to throw a lot of tasks at their employees without understanding how much time they need to complete them. So it's very good to have multidisciplinary understanding of each of the key roles in the company. That's why when I first started as a video producer, it took me a lot of time to understand emails, SMS. Why are we doing that in the first place? To understand how to create landing pages, how to use Shopify, how to use Figma for graphic design, how to use social media, what kind of strategies are we using. So the more you understand about the company you're working for and the processes in the company and the team members as well, because you need to understand that not every single person has the same motivation, the same type of workload, and the same type of processes on achieving results. Once you understand every single person's way of thinking, way of producing the results that you want them to produce, then it is going to be much easier for you to just brief the team and to have the project satisfaction to the highest possible level. So that's, as I said, my quick introduction to all of that. If you want to work at a one-on-one, if you want me to handle any of your projects, if you want to work on any of your videos with me, I would love to hop on a quick call with you to better understand what your needs and how we can fulfill those for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I wish you a great day. Bye-bye.